वैष्णवेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome to this morning discussion on the Madhurya Kadambini. Again, we will begin with the Mangalacharan. Ridva Prenava Bhakti Shasya Vitate Sanjeevani Swagama Rambe Kamatapatarudaha Vishwapagullasini धूरान्मे मरुशाकिनोऽपि सरसि भावाय भूयात् प्रभु। श्रीचैतन्यकृपानिरङ्कुशमः माधुर्यकादम्बिनी श्रीचैतन्यकृपानिरङ्कुशमः माधुर्यकादम्बिनी श्रीचैतन्यकृपानिरङ्कुशमः माधुर्यकादम्बिनी भक्तिः पूर्वः श्रिता तं तु रसं पश्येद्यदात्यधि तं नौमि सततं रूप नाम प्रिय जनम हरे. So if you remember, we discussed the first offense quite in detail, the sadhu ninda, which is one of the grievous of all the offenses. It's one of the most of the grievous of all the offenses, because that is the real obstacle, or the real anartha, the nama aparadh, the parama aparadh, which is the sadhu ninda. That is the sadhu ninda. So now Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is going to do a very critical analysis of the second offense. We have seen, firstly, the first offense to the holy name, that is sadhu ninda, which is the first offense. And then he mentions, does this Vaishnava ninda apply only to pure devotees? That he clarifies. And then what should an offender do if the devotees does not take the offense? Still he has to beg forgiveness, because the dust of his lotus feet will give the reactions. And there is the extreme case of the causeless mercy of the great souls. Forget about they not taking it offense. They bestow their causeless mercy and give them demotion. And we saw three examples yesterday: Jad Bharat, Upachari Vasu, and Nityanand Prabhu. So after clarifying this, he goes to the the second offense he covers here only. He says, just like Sadhu Ninda, Guru Ravagya, the same principle, the same discussion, what is there in the first verse he has done, that also equally applies to Guru Ravagya. So first and third are dealt in one way. So now he'll go to the second one. Okay. Now this I will go line by line because it's a little difficult to understand. Chaitanyam hi duvidam bhavati swatantra aswatantram cha. So you can see how Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is analyzing the offense of thinking Shiva to be different from Vishnu. If you think Shiva is different from Vishnu, that is also an offense. So he goes into the philosophical discussion to show how Shiva is non-different from Vishnu. How Shiva is non-different from Vishnu. So that's why he goes into this analysis of conscious beings. There are two types. Chaitanyam, I'll just read this and then we'll go line by line. Chaitanyam hi dvidam bhavati swatantra aswatantram cha. Conscious or Chaitanya beings are of two types, dependent and independent. Tatra pratamam sarva vyapakam ishvarakyam dvitiyam teha matra vyapa shaktikam jivakyam ishitvam. The first, that is the independent, Swatantra, Ishwar Chaitanya is all pervading Lord. The second is dependent Jiva that pervades only in his own body and is a particular energy of the Lord controlled by him because he is dependent. His consciousness is dependent on the Supreme Consciousness. Ishwar Chaitanyam Duidam Maya Sparsharhitam Leelaya Swakrita Maya Sparsham Cha. Now, within the independent, the Ishvara Chaitanya, there are again two types, free from the touch of Maya and accepting the touch of Maya by his own will. Now, please mark this. Please mark this. First of all, in the category of independent, dependent is very clear, the jiva. But even in the category of independent, which are of two types, one is free from Maya and one he himself accepts the Maya by his own will. This is very important to be noted. He accepts his own will. So still he is independent. It's not that because he has accepted this of Maya, he gives up his Swatantra. No, he has done it on his own will. Then Ishwar Chaitanya, free from the touch of Maya, is known by names like Narayan. Tatra Pratamam Narayan Adye Abhidikam. And then he gives a praman. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:88-55 says, Sri Hari exists beyond the three modes of mental and completely transcendental. Therefore, he himself is the supreme transcendental personality. Yaduktam Harirhi Nirguna Sakshad Purusha Prakrite Para Iti. So, this is the praman for the Ishwara Chaitanya, not the Jiva Chaitanya, who is free from the touch of Maya. Now, there is another type of Ishvara Chaitanya who accepts the touch of Maya by his own will. So, that he will mention. Dvitiyam Shiva Adibhyam. The second is actually Shiva. The second Ishvara Chaitanya accepts the touch of Maya by his own will and is known as Shiva, and so on. Shastra say, Yaduktam Shiva Shakti Yukta Shashvat Trilingo Guna Samavritta Iti. Shiva is always associated with Maya and is the predominant deity of Vaikarika, Satvika, Tejasa, Rajasika, and Tamasa, three types of ego. He is covered by the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. One should not think Shiva as the Jiva, though he is covered by the three gunas. So, Shiva atra guna samvritta lingenapi tasya jivakam na shankaniyam. You should not think that because he is covered by the modes, just like the jivas get covered by the modes, that Shiva is like the jiva. No. He has on his own will accepted. The jivas are dependent consciousness, whereas Shiva Tattva is independent consciousness. He's a Ishvara Chaitanya. I hope this is very clear. And then he gives Praman, Shiram Yadadadi Vishesha Yogat Sanjayate na tu Tata Pratikasti Hetu. He quotes the Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita says, as milk is transformed into yogurt, yet yogurt is non-different from milk. Its cause, I worship the primal Lord Govinda, who similarly accepts the form of Shiva by his own will for a particular purpose of destruction. विशेष हो गया तथा प्रतीक अस्ति हेतु यह शंभुताम अपि तथा समुपेति कार्यात् गोविंदम आदि पुरुषम तमम जाय इति ब्रह्म समितोक्ते ukte. Ukti means it is being spoken in Brahma Samhita. So this is the first part we are going to discuss. Okay, let's now go step by step. Chaitanya hi dvidam bhavati swatantra aswatantra cha. Chaitanya means consciousness. The conscious beings are of two types, dependent and independent. So I'm just sharing now as I discuss this chart. So here you see, this is called as, okay, I'll have to, yes. So the Chaitanya Tattva, the ontology of sentient beings. Chaitanya means those who are conscious, they are having consciousness. Ontology means, ontology is a science to understand the nature of existence, the ontology of the Jiva, the ontology of Ishvara, the ontology of Prakriti. To understand the nature of reality. So the ontology of sentient beings, one is independent, one is dependent. And independent is Sarva Vyapak, he's all pervading Lord. Dependent are minute living entity who pervade the body. So this is what up till now we saw, right? Dvidam, independent, dependent. And Pratamam, the first independent is Sarva Vyapak Ishwarakhyam, they are Ishwara. Dvitiyam Dehamatra Vyapa Shaktitam Jivakyam Ishitvam. And the second are dependent Jiva Tattva that pervades only in the own body and is of a particular energy of the Lord controlled by him. So this is the difference between the two. So we saw this already in the chart here. He pervades only this body and is controlled by the Lord. And his consciousness is dependent on the supreme consciousness because he's deriving his consciousness from there. That's also very important for us to understand. And then after discussing these two difference, then he goes into the Chaitanya. Within the Chaitanya, there are two. Chaitanyam hi dvidam bhavati. Swatantra asat. Oh, okay, we have done this. Ishwara Chaitanya. Ishwara Chaitanyam dvidam. Maya sparsha rahitam. Leelaya swakrit maya sparsham cha. Now, this is very important now. Here we are going to, because what is the offense? To think Shiva to be different from Vishnu. Or Shiva is independent of Vishnu. Even these two types of thinking or mentality, becomes an offense. Ishvara Chaitanya is of two types, free from the touch of Maya and accepting the touch of Maya by his own will. Now here again in the chart you can see there is Narayan and so who are beyond the touch of Maya, and Shiva and so on who accept the touch of Maya for Leela. That is for the creation, in the creation pastime, for Leela. So this is, but remember, both Shiva and Narayan are independent Ishvara. Independent. This is very important for us to understand. Okay. So basically, what Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is trying to make the point is that the Ishvara Chaitanya who is free from touch of Maya, he is Nirguna Sakshat. He is Hari. He is Nirguna. He is all pervading, but he takes the form of a human form, that's especially Krishna. Although he's all pervading, he takes this, beautiful human form, and that is happening by his inconceivable energy. Whereas the Jiva Chaitanya, the living beings, they are not all pervading, they are only pervading in their body. That's why they're called as Jiva Chaitanya. This is first thing to be understood, difference. Secondly, they are, they are under the control of the Paramatma and they are very minute. And that's why the term sometimes is used as Anu Chaitanya. Anu Chaitanya. They're called as Anu Chaitanya. So let me, let me go step by step and, make this distinction. So, so the Ishvara Chaitanya, the Ishvara Chaitanya, and then there is the Jiva Chaitanya. Make it a little bigger. Okay. So this Ishwar Chaitanya, we have seen that it is of, there are two. One which is not touched with Maya, and there is touch of Maya. Now, not touched with Maya, uh, he is, it will be mentioned as Narayan or Hari Nirguna Sakshat. Now, the point what I was trying to make is that he is all pervading, Sarva Vyapakam. He's all pervading. Although he's all pervading, he takes the human form. And this is Achintya Shakti. This we have to understand. This is Achintya Shakti of the Lord. The Jiva Chaitanya, he's only pervading in his body. And he's minute. He's minute. That's why he's called as Anu Chaitanya. This is also another term used, Anu Chaitanya. And this sometimes is called as Vibhu Chaitanya. Vibhu Chaitanya. So this Anu Chaitanya is very, 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 very tiny. It's very, very minute in nature. So Krishna in the Uddhav Gita, he says, Sukshmanam, Sukshmanam, Aham Jivaha. Among all the minute, I am the Jiva. And then in the Bhagavad Gita, there is reference, Keshagra Satabhagasha, which Prabhupada all gives, that he is 1/10,000 of the tip of the hair. And the another aspect of the Anu Chaitanya is his consciousness is dependent on the Paramatma. On the Paramatma. On the Paramatma. It's dependent on the Paramatma. So this is what, up till now he has spoken about the Jiva. Now he'll speak about more about the Ishwar Chaitanya. Ishwar Chaitanya, here we have seen touch of Maya. Now, another point which I wanted to discuss here about the Jiva Chaitanya is if the Jiva is dependent, as it is mentioned, it is dependent, then does he have free will? Because he is dependent on the Paramatma. Does he have the free will? Does he have the free will? Because his consciousness is dependent on the Lord. But does he have a free will then? What do you think? Anyone? Yes, Sri Lalita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. We have minute free will, no? To choose
Yes,
whether we
we have
want.
minute free will. But, the Jiva Chaitanya's consciousness is, Mama eva amsha Jiva Loka, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Mama eva amsha. Because the Lord is
We
conscious
are
and
parts
his
and parcel.
amsha is the Jiva. So his consciousness is dependent on the Supreme Lord's consciousness. So how does then free will work? How does free will work? This is okay. This answer is correct. But no doubt, there is a very deeper understanding which we need to know. We need to know. So I'm just discussing that so that because, we will come to, Shiva. Shiva, what is his free will? To come to that, we have to understand Jiva's free will. Jiva's free will. You know. So actually, in the Vedanta Sutra, it is mentioned that the Jiva is responsible for his own actions. And Karta Shastra Artvatvat. There's a Vedanta Sutra sloka in 331. Karta Shastra Artha Vatvat. This is a very terse code, but it is saying that the jiva is responsible for his own actions. So the jiva is responsible for his own actions, but Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sahan sarvasha ahankar vimudatma kartamiti yamanyate. That actually all the actions are done by Prakriti. Prakriti kriyamanani. Actually, we have no free will now. If you see, we are simply influenced by the modes. No? The jivas are impelled by the actions of the gunas of sattva and rabasha, and they are been doing. And jiva is, you know, forced to act according to the gunas. Yes or no? So this Vedanta Sutra verse is actually speaking of the innate capacity of the jiva to act. And this innate capacity of the jiva, the innate capacity of the jiva, the innate capacity of the jiva, that is being spoken in this Vedanta Sutra. But here the jiva is completely under the modes. He is impelled to act under sattva, rajas, and tamas. And these modes are doing prakriti kriyamani, and the modes are under the control of Lord in one sense. Right? But this verse, which is quoted Vedanta Sutra, this is speaking about the innate capacity of the jiva, and this capacity is not entirely independent. It is dependent on the will of the Lord. It is dependent on the will of the Lord. So I'm just giving an example. You know the famous pastime of Jay and Vijay cursing the four Kumaras. And Vishwanath Chakra Thakur will come into that. So this whole pastime actually happened because Jay and Vijay saw that the Lord has a desire to fight. He wants to relish Veeriras. And who can fight with the Lord? You have to have that kind of strength also. And Jay and Vijay are very powerful. They are eternal associates. So in order to fulfill that desire, let us be born as enemies so that, we can give really a tough fight for the Lord. So then this Lord enacted this whole pastime where the Kumaras cursed Jay and Vijay, and then the Lord only came and intervened, and 3 lives they were down as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Kumkaran, and then Shishupal and Dantavakra. So the Jiva's innate capacity to act, that capacity is dependent on the will of the Lord. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna comes to this is the first example I gave of Jay and Vijay. The second example is Arjuna. Arjuna, based on his Kshatriya nature, he has a nature that he has to fight this Dharma Yuddha. Now, my question to you all is, after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, did Arjuna do his Kshatriya duty of fighting this war? Who will answer this? Did Arjuna perform his Kshatriya duty of fighting the war? Because ultimately Krishna spoke the Gita so that he was He was in Vishada, lamentation that how can I kill my own relatives and all. And from 2.7, when he surrenders till Sarva Dharman Parityaja, the Lord instructs him in the wisdom of the Gita so that he can fight. So did Arjuna perform his Kshatriya duty of fighting the war? How many of you, what do you think about, what are your thoughts? Let's hear from others also. Yes, Sri Lalita Sukmati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. He actually did it for the pleasure of the Lord. It's Paro Dharma. If the Lord's, he didn't want to fight initially, but after listening to the Lord, he knew that it was pleasing to the Lord. Krishna told, "Do it because I am telling you to do it." So uh, he's indirectly fulfilling his duty, but he did it for the pleasure of the Lord.
Now, again, you made that point. So, did he perform his Kshatriya Dharma or did he perform his Jaiva Dharma, the soul's Dharma?
First, he performed. His motive was to perform Jaiva Dharma, but automatically that got fulfilled.
No, no, no. Understand. Again, see, if there can be only, he can perform his Swadharma for Kshatriya and fight. That will be Varnashram Dharma will be. Or there is the Dharma of the Jaiva Dharma of the soul, that is to perform pure devotional service. So, did he perform Kshatriya Dharma or the Jaiva Dharma? After hearing the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Mataji, it had put you in perplexity, and I think we have been hearing the Bhagavad Gita for so long. And yes, no, you can speak, let us, do some churning so that you can,
Yeah,
what
but
are,
it was for the pleasure of the Lord, right, Prabhu? In the
yes,
second, third chapter.
Mataji, whether it is, he performed his Jaiva Dharma or his Kshatriya Dharma based on his Swabhava.
Nishkama Karma Yoga.
He performed Nishkam Karma Yoga.
For the pleasure of the Lord, he did his duty for the pleasure of the Lord, right?
Mataji, Nishkama Karma Yoga is based on Sabhava. Whether you're Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, that Sabhava is part of our conditioned body, our nature. So, Jaiva Dharma is the Dharma of the soul, you know. So, there is difference between the two. So, which Dharma he performed?
But actually, he performed both, right, Prabhu? He performed pleasing the
No,
Lord.
that is what I'm trying to get.
Uh-huh.
You cannot perform those. Then Sarva Dharman Varityaja verse will become wrong. Krishna is telling
Okay.
Sarva Dharman.
Yeah, he was surrendered to Krishna, Prabhu. That means he performed his soul's duty.
Now you came to the point. Yes, this is what I wanted. So when you say Sarva Dharman Parityaja, means give up your Kshatriya Dharma, give up your Varnashram Dharma, give up your Stri Dharma, give up your all other dharmas. Like gopis are the example of Sarva Dharman Parityaja. They gave their Lajja Dharma, Stri Dharma, Pati Dharma, Putra Dharma, everything they gave up just to please the Lord. So similarly, if you conclude that Arjuna, after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, performed his Kshatriya Dharma, that means you are coming to a wrong conclusion. No, he performed the will of the Lord. He performed the act of the will of the Lord. And that time the Lord's will was that he should fight. If his will was something else, go to the forest, he would have gone to the forest. So that is the point being made here. That, this jiva's innate capacity, is dependent on the will of the Lord. So this is another example. So he performed this fight based on the Jaiva Dharma, which is the will of the Lord. So that innate capacity to act is based on the will of the Lord. Now coming here, now when the jiva acts within the modes, actually the modes are only making him act, but still the jiva will be responsible for his actions. And he has to suffer the reactions for it. So that is, that again, I'll not go into the Bhagavad Gita discussion. So this is what we need to understand. So this is very important discussion. And if you have any questions on this up till now, you can raise your hands. Yes. Bir Krish Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, here Jiva's free will is dependent on Lord's. How it is, Prabhu? Listen that if it is dependent on Lord, then how Lord does not interfere in Lord's, Jiva's will.
So that is what, this is a little deeper understanding, and we might, not get it clearly, but just by that example, actually in its original state, the jiva, does actions to please the Lord, and he does those actions which the Lord desires. The Lord desires to enjoy the Ras Leela pastime. So the gopis, understanding the desire of the Lord, they cooperate in his enjoyment. So that free will is a sign of surrender and a sign of love. And they are acting as per the will of the Lord, as per the desire of the Lord. So that is how we have to understand. Just like I gave the example of Jay and Vijay. They understood that the Lord wants to fight, but they said, we are very strong, but we don't have that. We love the Lord. How can we fight? If we take a demonic nature, then it's possible. Then the Lord orchestrated this pastime where Kumaras cursed Jay and Vijay, so that they can give pleasure to the Lord. So there, that capacity, innate capacity of the jiva to act, that is dependent on the will of the Lord. It's dependent on the will of the Lord. So that's the point being made. I hope it's clear.
So
And that is
means
real freedom, and that is real love.
That means we are talking that pure jiva, which is not having any conditioning.
Yes, that is what I made the point. So the examples also I have given is Jay and Vijay and Arjuna. Here, these are jivas. You see, the jiva is actually no free will here also. He is pushed by the modes. And the modes are making him act. But ultimately, the jiva will be held responsible. And we know that, although the Prakriti is working under Krishna's control and the super soul has to sanction, but yet the jiva desires. So he is accountable. He is accountable, and that's why he has to suffer the reactions. So I did not go into the three types of doers, which is elaborate discussion in the Bhagavad Gita. But just to make the point clear.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other questions about this? This is very important for us to understand. Yes.
Hare
Please.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Madhu.
I just want some clarity. Like with the previous slide, no, was it mentioned that Lord Shiva is independent? And to
Yes,
think
yes.
him dependent is an offense.
Pardon?
And to think that he is dependent is an offense. Something like
No,
that.
no, we have still not gone to that. Don't be in a hurry.
Okay.
No hurry. No. See, we have just mentioned there is Ishvara Chaitanya, who is Vibhu Chaitanya, not touch in Maya is Narayan, all pervading, and he takes the human form of Rama and Krishna by his inconsol. There are touch in there is the Ishvara Chaitanya, who is also completely independent, who is in touch with the Maya, and this is Shiva. And he does out of his own will. So that's why we have not come to this point of that own will, right now. But we discussed about, whether the jiva has a will, jiva's free will, we discussed that. So now we'll come to that Ishwar Chaitanya. Okay. So we discussed that this Ishwar Chaitanya free from touch of Maya is known by names of Narayan, and the verse quoted is Hari Nirguna Sakshat Purusha Prakrite Para. Shri Hari exists beyond the three modes of material nature and is completely transcendental. Ishvara Prakrite Para. Therefore, he is a transcendental personality. Sa Sarvadrig Upadrishta Tam Bhajam Nirguna Bhavait. So, he is all seeing, Sarvadrik, omnipresent, witness of everything, Upadrishta. Those who worship him also become transcendental. So, it is interesting that if the worshipper can become transcendental, then the Lord has to be transcendental. If Hari was not transcendental to this material world, then how could the worshipper transcend the material world? So that's why this Hari is Nirguna Sakshat. Now regarding the second one is very important. Dvitiyam Shivadi Abhidham. The second Ishwara Chaitanya accepts the touch of Maya by his own will and is known as Shiva and so on. And the reference is Yaduktam Shiva Shakti Yukta Shashvat Trilanga Guna Samvrita Iti. Shastras say Shiva is always associated with Maya and is the predominating deity of Vaikarika, Taijasa, Tamasa. This is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. In the Mahatattva, 3 types of ego. Shiva Shakti Yukta Shasvat. Okay, 1088.3. I will just open 1088.3. 1088.3. Shiva Shakti Yukta Shashvat Trilinga Guna Samvritaha Vaikarikas Tejasacha Tamasas Chet Aham Trida. Shri Shukdev said Lord Shiva is always united with his personal energy, the material nature, manifesting himself in 3 features in response to the entities of the nature's 3 modes. Thus, he embodies the threefold principles of material ego in goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, he's Guna Samvrita. Guna Samvrita. He is Trilinga. There is he Yukta Trilinga, by the modes, Samvrita, and they are what? So, Shiva is covered by the 3 qualities of nature. First thing you have to understand that Shiva is not a Jiva Tattva. Because the Jiva comes under the 3 gunas. But Shiva voluntarily accepts. Shiva is a Guna avatar and is non-different from Krishna. And he voluntarily accepts the 3 modes. This is the difference we have to understand. This is the difference we need to understand. Atra guna samvritta lingenapi tasya jivakatvam na shankaniyam iti Brahma Samhita Uktaha. He is covered by the 3 gunas. Sattva. One should not think Shiva as a jiva, though he is covered by the gunas, 3 gunas. So this point I made. And then this is the praman. We should not think that he is like jiva, but he is an independent Ishwar, and he himself on his own will accepts the 3 gunas. And the quotation is Brahma Samhita. Shiram yadadadi vikara vishesha yoga sanjayate nahi tatah pratighasti heto yah shambhutam api tata samupayati karyat Govindamadi purusham tam aham bhajami. As milk is transformed into yogurt, yet yogurt is not different from milk, its cause. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who similarly accepts the form of Shiva by his own will for a particular purpose of destruction. So now we are going into actually the Shiva Tattva. So we have seen up till here now, independent, dependent, Narayan, who's free from that, beyond the touch of Maya, and then Shiva, who accept the touch of Maya for Leela, out of their own sweet will. This we will come to later on. Don't worry about this part, the dependent. First, we are seeing only the independent. So now, a very important point to be noted is what is being quoted in the Brahma Samhita. In the Brahma Samhita, it is mentioned that the example of the yogurt is given. So yogurt, the cause and effect. What is the cause here? Anyone? Simple things I'm asking. What is the cause? Okay. If the effect is yogurt, what is the cause? Yeah. Yes, milk. Yeah. It's very simple, but no, just to make the. So milk and this is yogurt. This is cause and effect, you know. But there is a transformation happening. Milk is different and yogurt is different, right? They cannot be the same. So there is a transformation. Because of the transformation, milk turns into yogurt. So the point what we need to understand is that this example, Vishesha Yogat, Shiram Yada Dadi Vishesha Yogat. The example is given to explain the cause and effect and not the transformation. And not the transformation. So that is why Vishnu transforms into Shiva, but they are non-different. Because for the pastime of Leela, for the creation pastime, it is Vishnu himself who transforms into Shiva, and that's why they are non-different. But this example, if you see, you might say, no, yogurt is different and milk is different because there is a transformation. But the actual Vishesha Yoga actually refers to, the principle of cause and effect. The cause is non-different from the effect is non-different from cause. So this is Shiva. This is Shiva. It is Govinda who voluntarily accepts the form of Shiva and accepts the mode of Tamaguna for the purpose of creation. So this is how we need to understand. This is how we need to understand that they are not different. Now to illustrate this point, in the Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami tells a story from the Vishnu Dharmotter Purana. There was once a Brahmana whose name was Vishwakshena, and he was just wandering, in the holy places. And one day he came to a village and he was just sitting in the nearby woods and meditating. And the village head son, who was a chief, he came there and he said, today I'm having a headache. Please worship my Shiva deity. So this Brahmin boy told, I'm exclusively dedicated to Hari and I don't worship any other deity. So this village boy, because he was very proud, he said, if you don't worship my Shiva deity, I am going to kill you. He took the sword. Now the Brahmin, in order to save his life, he agreed. And then he immediately decided, I will do this puja. But while sitting in front of the Shivalinga, he thought that Shiva is the master of the mode of ignorance and is the cause of dissolution. And Shiva destroys the demons who are in the mode of ignorance. So let him destroy the darkness which is there in this boy's head, He's of a demonic nature. He doesn't understand the difference between Shiva and Vishnu, non-difference. So then this boy started worshipping Narsimhadev, as though Narsimhadev is residing within Shivalinga, because he cannot worship Shiva. So he started worshipping the Shivalinga, understanding that within him is Narsimhadev, so that he can, help this boy become free from the tendency of the demonic nature. And with this intention, when he started worshipping Narsimhadev in that form of the Shivalinga, he started chanting the Narsimha mantras, Shri Narsimhaya Namaha. And hearing this village boy became furious. He took his sword and he was about to kill him. And immediately from that Shivalinga, Narsimhadev appeared and he killed this boy and others also. And this, this deity is called as the Linga Spota Narsimha. And it is still existing in South India. I don't know. I want to go and see this. I've heard about it. So this story Jiva Goswami narrates in order to show the non-difference between Hari and Shiva. The non-difference between Hari and Shiva. Okay, so further there is a more discussion on this, but before we take up, do you have any questions up till now? This has to be very clearly understood, the non-difference of Shiva, and one who makes that distinction is also, it is also an offense. Yes, Veer Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So, just one clarification. When we say that Lord Shiva accepts the three modes,
Mhm.
does it not mean that
By
he is
his own
affected
will. It is
by his
not
own will?
Lord Shiva accepts.
Yes, yes. So, is he affected?
Let
I mean, is he
Vishnu
by the
only
control of
transforms
the
into
three modes?
Shiva and gets covered by the three modes.
He gets
Accepts
covered by
Amrita.
the three modes, but is he under control of the three modes or he is independent?
We'll come to that a little later. You know, he's actually the master of the three modes. You see, there is a lot of distraction, Prabhuji. See, Shiva is the controller of the three modes, especially the control of the modes of ignorance, tamaguna. Now, in order to destroy, you know, these gunas, you know, the sattva is, you know, maintenance, raja is creation, and tama is, you know, destruction or ignorance. Now, the modes on their own cannot act, do the destruction. It has to act through certain personalities, just like energy. You know, take the concept of energy, you know, like electricity. Now, electricity, you cannot directly, you know, it has to act through a, you know, via instrument like a refrigerator or a heater. Then you can get cold water or hot water, right? So the energy, you know, acts through entity. So similarly, Shiva is that form of the personality of Godhead who accepts the three modes in order to perform the act of destruction. Perform the act of destruction. So in that sense, we have to understand that. But he is non-different from Vishnu. He is non-different from that. Tattva is very, very important for us to know. Are you getting this point, Prabhuji?
Yes, bro, yes. Prabhu, one more clarification.
Your
Uh,
volume is very, very, very poor.
Prabhu, now it is clear.
Yes.
Prabhu, when Lord Shiva is uh, covered by three modes by his own will, at that time, Prabhu, what is his relation with internal energy of the Lord? I mean, how it is called?
So see, you have to study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Again, there is a lot of distraction there. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there are the 50 qualities which are there in Shiva. And there are 5 extra qualities which are only in Shiva. And Shiva is what? He is having Sachidananda nature. Right? Eternity, bliss, and knowledge. So actually, I did not go into the technical aspects of the Vikara Vishesha Yoga. The form actually which Shiva accepts is a combination of Maya, and there is a combination of the minuteness of the Jiva of the Tata Shakti, and is actually also the Sarup Shakti of the Lord, which is endowed with the Hladini Shakti. You know, so this is the form of Mahadev. He is a Guna avatar of Hari, and he is not a separate entity or a principle. This we have to understand. It is Hari only himself who accepts the modes, you know. So the example Jiva Goswami gives is like a lamp. You know, traditionally you have seen the lamps, you know, they used to be there. And Shiva is also like a lamp. But you know, when you put a glass uh, cover on it, the soot, the fire which is burning from the lamp, that soot, you know, gets covered to the lamp glass. And that's why you can see the dark black suit on the lamp cover. So similarly, the Vishnu only himself accepts this modes in order to perform this pastime of Leela. So that's why they are independent Ishwars. And that's why they are non-different. That's how we have to understand. Does that make clear?
All right, Purohit. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Any other questions about this? This understanding is very, very important. That Shiva is non-different from Vishnu. Do you know of any deities where there's a combination of Shiva and Vishnu together? Anyone? Prasanna Lakshmi Mataji. Yes. Yes, Mataji.
Harihara Kshetra in Mayapur.
Yes, Harihara Kshetra. Harihara Kshetra. Any others? Anyone? Srilalita?
Ayyappan in Sabrimala is combination. Ayyappan.
Well, I don't know about it. I cannot say about it.
Ayyappan, Sabrimala Ayyappan.
No, I don't know about a Shastra Praman, whether, the tattva about it. So I cannot comment about it. I have no idea about it, frankly speaking. No, I'll have to, there has to be some Shastra Praman for it. Okay, so I also know about this Harihara Kshetra, which is very clearly tattva wise also and Leela wise, which is narrated in our scriptures. And the Linga Spota. Linga Spota is to just prove evidence of non-difference between Shiva and Vishnu. Okay. So, okay, it's almost 8:26 and we cannot start the new one. I just went a little slowly because this is very important. So in the next class, we'll continue this discussion. Hare Krishna. Shri Madhurya Kadambini ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Shri Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Hare Krishna.